joins, let's get started. Once again, I would like to thank you very much for being here today, to our speakers, but to all the participants for this session. My name is Suhela, and I lead the WeEmpowerAsia program at UN Women in India office. And this particular panel is co-moderated with me, with my colleague Jialei, who you could see online, and Firoza, who is also supporting us in the technical parts of it, but is a very important person because she would be summarizing the entire session for all of us and the larger group, and also would lay out the key takeaways from this entire conversation. So once again, I thank you very much. And just to give you a very, very brief background of the focus of this panel, which is really to look on deliberating the relevance of an ecosystem approach to create opportunities for women employees and as well as entrepreneurs around their leadership in industries. And for this particular panel, we have focused on two specific sectors, which is the textile sector and the information, communication, and technology sectors in India and China. As part of WeEmpowerAsia program, we worked with the industry leaders from these two sectors to look at women's leadership opportunities in this. Through the course of this panel, we would also request for your participation, not only in terms of the questions that you may have for the panelists, but also sharing your experiences, and that bit would be moderated by Jialei over the next 35 minutes. So without further ado, I would really like to introduce our esteemed set of panelists today. We are very, very glad to have Zheng Jian, who is the International Project Director, China National Textile and Apparel Council. We are very pleased to welcome Nupur Garg, who is the founder, WinPE, Mamta Malhotra from H&M, who leads the supply chain and sustainability aspects, and Kang, who is the head of marketing, Thoughtworks in China. So without further ado, I would like to go back to Zheng for the first question. And Zheng, my question to you is around the collaboration that UN Women China and the Textile Apparel Council in China had around creating a guidelines and industry-wide guidelines on promoting women's participation and leadership in the industry. So if you could please share us your experiences and a little bit about this entire guidance from the ecosystem approach, and how do you plan to take it forward in terms of its implementation?
Hi, Suhela. I think our first speaker had some technical issue here. So she joined and dropped out. Maybe we can start with the second one, if that works for you.
Thank you so much. So we can move to Mamta. Mamta, thank you so much for being here, for being a part of this panel. And you know that in India, we have worked together closely on industry, which is really a first ever platform that UN Women created to bring the women entrepreneurs as well as leading brands in the textile industry on the same page. And the idea was really to create those linkages with women entrepreneurs to see that what kind of sustainability solutions they can also offer to the textile industry. Now, so you have been one of the industry partners of the entire Industry Disruptor Initiative. As a brand, what relevance do you think of this platform? And moving forward, as an H&M group, what plans are there in place in taking your work with women, creating safe and decent employment opportunities for them in India as well as other regions as well?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you. I'm quite happy to be here and a part of the panel, listening to a lot of good discussions since the morning half. The Industry Disruptor Program, yes, we've been a part of it for 2 years. And I felt that this was one of its kind, program which was bringing in a lot of entrepreneurs and also sort of connecting them to the industry partners. So you have a lot of enterprises, but how do you build that connection to the industry partners? I think that was a platform from the UN Women and the Do School that was provided. From a brand perspective, Of course, I mean, these are relevant issues that, we work on when it comes to specifically in the South Asian market or in the Asian market, when it comes to gender, when it comes to other issues related to gender. There are grievances, there are gender-based violence issues. So it is very important, how do we empower these enterprises? What can we do? So the 2 years that we have basically worked, it has been mentoring, it has been connecting them to the procurement teams, it has been trying to see how we can sort of build up that network and use it into our supply chain, and we have successfully also done it in the past, and continue to do so. And I think going forward also, I see a lot of relevance in this program, and I see that the enterprises come with a myriad of, what is happening in the industry, and there were so many different kinds of different interests that came up, whether it was building an app, so it was a lot more technical, whether it was working into the supply chain using a lot of waste, whether it was even building capacity on the skill development. So these, I see that, I mean, these will be an integral part of the supply chain. Of course, as an organization and the kind of buying that we do, we are so big, so we will need to divide it into 2 or 3 parts. I see the first part, uh, of course, financing is going to become more and more important and relevant to these industry partners. So how do you, and I can give you an example. So for example, in climate, there are these green financing. So the suppliers who are actually working on those, we are trying to create funds on the social side as well. If we can do something like this from our part and, connect them to the financing models, I think that becomes much more relevant. And of course, uh, then this becomes um, like a continued sustained sort of a model, where those who are performing well, we connect them to financing models which will help them also sort of build them up. A better performing supplier may, for example, have a lower interest from the bank. The other things could be, then how do we commit to the business there? And I think that also becomes extremely relevant, and we have a few things that we can look at. How do we connect them to one of our existing suppliers who already has a scale up model? Because scaling up will be then something which will be needed to be looked into. So how do we use already an existing supply chain, take one of their arms and put them into, connect them to that as a buddy, so they sort of support them in a little bit of capacity building, and also help them on the scalability part and the skill development part. And I think that for us becomes much more relevant. So I hope I've answered, Suhela. I can't see you now, but I hope I've answered both your parts.
Yes, you did, Mamta. And would you like to also reflect a little bit on your larger platform that you are trying to create of women's safety in supply chains?
Yes.
Which
Yes,
forward
while of course we are working on newer partnerships, and we also know that in our supply chain there are cases and instances that are happening. Specifically, I'm connecting to the gender-based violence, and I think that becomes very, very important for us to take cognizance of, and also try to build up an industry platform, because these are issues that connect to the entire supply chain. And how can we use, very strong and very, very influential industry partners such as the UN Women to sort of also influence the non-supply chain part? There are industry partners, there are legal entities, there are government entities. So how do we do this together? Because an issue that happens on gender-based violence is basically uh, an issue which affects not only the supply chain, of course, the aggrieved, the supply chain, but also the state, the government agencies. So now we are talking about building and more an industry-wide platform to deal with this. How do we bring in the relevant stakeholders together? How do we basically take this momentum forward and work towards prevention of gender-based violence?
No, of course. Thank you so much, Mamta, and a food for thought for all the participants here who are representing beyond textile and ICT sector to see that how platform such as Industry Disruptor could be created in their own industries, looking at creating that connect between entrepreneurs and between the supply chains, number one. But what you have also mentioned, which is very, very important, Mamta, is looking at the integrated approach, which is an ecosystem approach trying to talk about. So from capacity building to also create ways of access to finance through innovative models such as green bonds that you mentioned. And I think this is very, very replicable model to other sectors as well. On the safety in supply chains, of course, you know, textile is one of the sector where women are present in large numbers when it comes to factories. But there are other supply chains as well, where women are presented in large numbers, and the issue of violence is there, which is prevalent. I think this is also this is also, I see it as a platform that would have implication and learn for other industries as well. Thank you so much, Mamta, and maybe the participants here would have more to ask from you in the next segment that would be led by Jialei. I would quickly come to Nupur. Nupur, you have also been part of the Industry Disruptor as an industry partner and bringing this entire access to finance lens to this. So what has been your one major key takeaway from the Industry Disruptor if you would look at women's access to finance? And how do you think we can take it forward? And what is your plan to take this forward?
Thank you, Suhela. First, I have to say that we've been part of just one industry disruptor, and blown away with the value that the program brought to all of its participants, to the full cohort, and the quality of the entrepreneurs in the cohort was just so important, and that I think sets the context for anybody who wants to engage with women entrepreneurs and who wants to sort of think about how to support them. Because you realize that even if you go very, very narrow into a very niche and a very specialized sector, the quality doesn't get compromised. And I'm an investor, and in the investing parlance, we say if we make the pipeline, if we make the funnel too narrow, if we sort of make the lens too narrow, then you probably won't have a very high quality pipeline. But I think the first response or the reaction that WinPE and myself we had to the industry disruptor was to say that there are some really amazing women entrepreneurs out there, and it is absolutely forget about not being fair. It doesn't also make sense that women as entrepreneurs are not receiving the same level of funding support, the same level of capital and financing support that they should, and as their male counterparts are. I think in the Indian context, the one number of people have been celebrating for last year was to say that private equity and venture capital funding to women-led businesses peaked in 2021. Well, it peaked at 2.5%. And if that is what we are celebrating today, then we clearly have to redefine everything that, every lens and every framework that we apply. So when we as WinPE, and as you know, WinPE is a not-for-profit that is focused on increasing the participation of women investors, capital allocators, and as recipients of this investment capital. So basically entrepreneurs who are benefiting from funding. For us, the first step is to say, all right, why is this gap existing? And I think in our understanding, there are many, many reasons why women entrepreneurs get a raw deal, including unconscious biases being the most obvious one. But there is a whole ecosystem that does not exist, and that even when it exists, is not designed to be conducive to women entrepreneurs. The whole ecosystem is extremely male dominated. From saying who are your networks, who are the people you know, who are you talking to, who's taking the decisions, who's advising you. Everything is very male dominated. So what we really need to think about is how do we enable the woman entrepreneur to have a very supportive journey right from day one. And from day one, it starts, and this is something that we learned from the industry disruptor, right? One of the challenges, the problem statement that we gave as WinPE was to say, what would be the ecosystem that would support women entrepreneurs? And the biggest learning was that it starts on day one. When women want to set up a business, there aren't enough advisors, there aren't enough people to help them even figure out what is the legal entity that they should be thinking of. What are all the regulations that require? And India, India has made a lot of progress in the ease of doing business index, but it is still a very complex place to is not easy. And all the way going forward, through the journey, how do you find a co-founder? How do you find suppliers? How do you build a team? How do you get initial finance, all the way to how do you get growth equity? It's a very difficult journey for any entrepreneur. And I think for women, it becomes doubly difficult just because of the environment and the ecosystem we operate in. What happened in the industry disruptor was that the cohort of entrepreneurs, they actually presented a solution. And they said that if we had an ecosystem that we thought would enable our success, these are the features and the components that ecosystem would have. So it's literally women saying, these are our problems, and this is how to solve those problems. And at WinPE, we are just so excited to take that suggested solution and see how we can make it a reality. So we have started working on putting together the bits and pieces, the design of that ecosystem. Some of the entrepreneurs from the industry disruptor are part of a working group that brainstorms with us on a monthly basis in saying, how do we flesh out different features? How do we, get into the details and make it practical? So I think right from developing a great understanding of the, superb quality of entrepreneurs that we have, to understanding the depth of challenges that women entrepreneurs face in any ecosystem, including ours, to really hearing from them what the solutions could be. Our experience with the industry disruptor is so valuable, and we are committed to creating that solution. I think it will take us time. I don't say we'll come out with it in the next quarter, probably next calendar year, but we are committed to doing it. And I think the key for us would be partnerships. There is no single person or single organization who can do this together, do it by themselves. And there are a lot of fantastic initiatives. I mean, UN Women is one. Mamta is talking about the whole initiative that H&M is taking. There are a lot of initiatives that are already existing. I think our role is to bring them together in a way that there is an ecosystem that develops that women can fully leverage and benefit from.
Of course, thank you so much, Nupur. And I do recognize the fact that, irrespective of the sector, women entrepreneurs face similar kind of challenges in terms of when they start up, or when they are at the stage of growth, or when they're at the stage of expansion. There are a certain set of challenges that they face. And I think this particular aspect of creating this platform, or creating this application that would help them to be able to navigate through some of these requirements, early stage requirements, but later whatever is required for their growth and development, is something which is very, very apt. And again, is applicable for the wider industry and the wider sectors as well. Thank you, Nupur, for the inputs, and we would request you to stay tuned. There might be more questions to you from the panelists on specific aspects of access to finance for women entrepreneurs in their sectors. Kang, thank you so much for patiently listening to us, and we come to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And you come from the ICT sector in China. And tell us that through Thoughtworks, how have you been able to navigate the industry guidance in China, and were able to brought in the gender perspective into this entire guidance that is applicable, that is required by the government for ICT industry?
Okay, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to join this panel this afternoon. And I would like to share with you my experience in the ICT industry sectors about the empower female employee to develop themselves in this sector. The Social Responsibility Working Committee of the China Electronic Industry Standardization Technology Association. That's a long name. I will just use the name as the association. And the association has revised the Electronic Information Industry Social Responsibility Governance Indicator System and carry out empowerment activities for women in the electronic information industry through various methods, such as setting standards, corporate social responsibility governance, and also that the China ICT industry construction development report. All these kind of things that there are 9 big proposals in the indicator system to strengthen the construction of corporate social responsibility in the ICT industry, and to promote empowerment of women in the industry, and facilitate the high quality development of large and medium-sized entrepreneurs. The 9 big proposals to empower women are one, strengthen gender equality in information disclosure. Second, technology empowers women. 3, protect the rights and interests of female employees. 4, women's participation in democratic communication. Focus on women's growth and development. Incentive to support female suppliers. Consider the different needs of men and women in products and services. Creating opportunities for women's employment, carry out gender equality related public welfare activities. As a female employee worked in the ICT industry sector, and also that I am from a company who is very active in the empower female employees, and we kind of that the gender equality is a very important sector for our companies, and I believe this indicator system will have a very positive impact in a very long time. And how can enterprises empower women? How to give full play to the creativity of female employees, and how to balance their position, functions, powers, and responsibility of male and female employees within a company. It has become the economic development of China's industrial chain and supply chain in the new era and the global economic trend. So based on the general environment, background, and trend, it just stated that this guidance and the indicator system from the association will help us a lot. And also that I think that they will have very practical suggestions for the companies how to improve the gender equality, and how you could be get benefits from it, and so that this is very important for China and for this industry sector. I will give you some numbers to support me. The tech industry has long suffered from a stark gender inequality, with survey data showing that in China, less than 30% of staffs, including science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, students are female. Only 30% of the students are female from the STEM, and only 6% of academic admissions at the CAS. CAS, that means Chinese Academy of Science, are women, and women make up less than the 20% of tech practitioners. And so that I think that such a huge industry sector in China, and we need more chances to support the development of female employees, and this will benefit in a long term to the industry, to the company, and to the whole economic development. As I worked in the Thoughtworks, and you know that we have a very strict policy when we are hiring new staffs, that we will make our female, we will make sure that we have more than 49% of female employees in the whole company. So this is very difficult in some region, and in China that I think that in China we are fine, but it is very difficult because that you know that if that there are less female students in the STEMs, less female students will be interested in the technologists, in the electronics, and we could not maintain this policy in the future. And so that I think that the association helped us a lot to make sure that we will have more female talents in the future, and this will help us to develop to have a better ecosystem in this industry sector. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Kang. And I think you have rightly mentioned, and I think this gender divide in the STEM fields, as well as in the digital economy, is really, really stark, and it's very, very stark for certain countries. And congratulations on setting up a target of having more female employees and women employees in your organization. Just a very quick follow-up question: are there any specific activities that you are applying, you're using to get more women, and that this is across the management level, right? The 49% of female employees across senior management, mid-management, lower management, etc. That is what your commitment is?
Yeah. And also that you know that it's very difficult to start the senior, especially that in the management level, to have the senior female managers. But for the new employee, the good news is for the new graduates, and that we could hire more than half female employees in this year, and also that as a marketing director in the company, and so that you know that we host a conference, we host webinars, and we help the colleagues to output their impact. And also that we have an indicator that for every conference hosted by Thoughtworks, there are at least half of the speakers are female, are female technologists, female scientists, and so that is how we commit in a long term, and to show that the company's confidence in the female employees development.
No, of course, thank you. And I think this is a very, very important strategy to bring this on the phase of the vision of your organization. That is what is non-negotiable for us, even if it is coming down to activities such as these. There has to be equal representation. Thank you so much, Kang. And I'm not sure if our first speaker is already here, Jialei.
Yes, Zheng is here now. Hello,
Hi,
Zheng.
Hi, Zheng, can't see you. Can you please say hello to all of us so that we can make sure that you're here? Hello, nice to see you, and welcome back. I know that there has been some disturbance in the internet at your area, but thank you so much, and nice to have you with us. And so my question to you around this specific guidance that UN Women China and the Council developed on looking at the industry-wide guidance that also promotes women's employment and entrepreneurship in the textile industry in China. Would you please share about the guidance, specifically what are the key elements, but also what is your implementation plan for this particular guidance that you have come up with?
Okay, thank you. First, I'm very happy to help to join this meeting. So From Tech, I think to build an industry-involved ecosystem, as you said, each party of the ecosystem should participate in and undertake its responsibility. So from our perspective, we are a industry association. We are the representative of the whole textile related industry in China. So we are doing a lot of things, to make 20 million practitioners, including 40% of men and 16% of women, to understand the importance of gender equality and make changes. So when we began to work with UN Women since 2017, we worked on the training for the factory employees. In the past 3 years, we worked with UN Women on the WeEmpowerAsia project. We have complete the guidance for implementation of WEBs in textile and garment factories. The guidance is based on the framework of WEBs, detailing the specific requirements of 7 principles to providing enterprises with best practice that can be referred to. In addition, we also instruct enterprises to integrate the implementation WEBs into the systematic measurement system from the perspective of process management. This is the same methodology of
Okay, I think some internet issues again at her end. Zheng, we lost you for a minute, but now you are back.
Okay. I just joined the meeting by my phone because the website is not good. So the guidance, we also consulting with the enterprises to get their feedback when they developing the guidance. So after we make it, we can make some training to the factories. We believe that with these right tools, enterprises can go faster and firmer in providing gender equality.
Great. Thank you so much, Zheng. But would you also like to just give a focus on, give us an insight into how do we like to operationalize this? What is the implementation plan that you have at your level for this guidance?
Actually, this guidance is, is a platform. It's on the platform of CIC 9000T. This is a management system of Tech to launched in 2005. This is a management system for the enterprises to implement CSR during their daily management. So when we work with women, we just integrate WEBs into this system.
Yes.
So we can tell enterprises how to use this guidance. When, for example, when they recruited new workers, new employees, how do they write an ad? You shouldn't talk about the age, the gender. Also, you shouldn't ask the candidates whether she is married or how many children she has. So this is a practical method we taught the enterprises how to integrate their management in this web. So I think this tool is very practical for them to use when they have a daily measurement. They can know exactly what they should do and what they what is not what is expected by the law and the regulation. So this is a very useful tool for them.
Of course, I mean, I think that is very, very important because we know that unconscious bias does play in when it comes to recruitment, retention, promotion, etc. And although the companies and industries are trying to not creep the bias in, but somehow it does. And they really look for very, very specific guidance on how to eliminate this bias. And I think this guidance of yours has the potential to also be looked in the wider settings of employment, recruitment, retention policies, and to see and lift some of those recommendations that you have included into the recruitment practices or other industries as well. Thank you so much. Zheng, for your input to this. I will now hand it over to Jialei and Firoza for the next leg of this conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Suhela and everyone. Because now we may only have 5 to 10 minutes, I guess. So let's do this session very quickly. Yeah. For this session, we will use WinPE again, but the good thing is we already have the experience from the last panel. So if everyone can just type on your computer WinPE.com and also type in the code. Yeah, because we really want everyone can all participate and also provide your inputs, your thoughts, so that it will also benefit our future programming and our work. Yeah. So yeah, if you're already there, you can see the first question. Yeah, it's about which industry are you from? You can just start to answer. Okay, yeah, we see some answers already. And if other people not join, please, yeah, type our colleague already put in the chat box. Okay, so we already see, many diversified answers here, like tourism, investing, ICT, consulting, NGO. Yeah, that's all great. Because of timing, maybe we can move to the next question now. But still, for all the other participants, please join us. You can try to use WinPE platform here, and what are some of the key challenges for this question. We already list of
I think Jialei's internet is not
answers here. So we want to use the like most. Is it okay now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So for this one, we want to know what are the main challenges people are facing in promoting gender equality in your industry. Yeah. So we already have some answers here. But again, I see many participants still not joined the WinPE yet. So while we are seeing some of the answers here, we still encourage other participants. Please join. Yeah, here.
So I cannot join either. I don't know if it'll be okay to put it in the chat.
Yeah, sure,
I don't know. WinPE.com doesn't work.
Please,
currently.
that will
okay.
also be a good suggestion. Yeah, if you
Sure.
have some technical issue or other issue, please just put it in chat box. Yeah, okay. Now, first up, we can move to the next question for now. So as we already discussed, what are some of the main challenges in your sector? we want to discuss with everyone what you see as some of the key solutions or steps that you can take to address these challenges. So for this one, everyone can just type in, either type in, in Menti, or you can also put your answer in the chat box here. Our colleague already put in the chat box some of the key challenges that we identified from the previous question. For example, the lack of mechanisms of women workers to speak out, and the lack of programs or initiatives to support industries to create ecosystem, or the lack of policies. Yeah. So yeah, based on this, on all these challenges, please let us know what do you think are the key solutions that can help to address the issues here. Okay, we already have some very good solutions here, like the community to support women employees or the female role models. Yeah, and very importantly, policy support and guidance, of course. Okay, that's great. So we can move on to the next question. Yeah, because our topic is, want to discuss with everyone based on our good practices from ICT and the textile industries. So what can we do to replicate in other industries and to really create the ecosystem? Related to this, we want to know who do you think in your industry should be getting involved? Who will be your main stakeholders? So for this one, again, you can type in your answers either in Menti or in our chat box here. Yeah, we see very good answers. Yeah, everyone, women, of course. Yeah, firms and organizations. Yeah, all very good answers. And government departments. Great. Okay, that's great. I think because of today we only have very short time here, so we may not be possible to have the deep and very interactive conversation. But as your women, we really want to work together based on this ecosystem approach. And another priority for us is also to focus on the new emerging sectors such as green economy or clean energy related industries. And we want to make sure that women are not left behind in these new opportunities. So now I will hand over to my friend, to my colleague, Feroza, for the summary session. Yeah, hand over to you, Feroza.
Thank you very much, Jialei, and also to everyone for your responses. They were very, very interesting and very helpful to also understand what challenges you're facing in your industry as well, and across diverse industries. And I think one of the main sort of interesting sort of findings of this very brief summary that we did was that one of the major challenges is the lack of mechanisms for women workers to express their needs, as well as the lack of industry-wide programs to support. And most certainly we would require, I mean, as everyone has mentioned, the different kinds of stakeholders who can actually leverage off each other's strengths and also use their sort of specific strengths to influence the broader ecosystem which we are focusing on. And just sort of to wrap up, I'd like to ask if everyone could do perhaps a final word cloud to just reflect on perhaps what would be the one word or 2 words or 3 words that you would think is needed to advance an ecosystem approach for a gender responsive industry or sector relevant to your industry or sector. So one sort of action word for the way forward. So if you can also, like we did for the previous questions, please enter your responses on Menti. Or in the chat box if there's any technical issue.
I also want to say that because we couldn't have the time to take questions from the audience, if you have the questions, please write to us, and we will be happy to bring it to the panelists and get back to you with responses. If you would like to learn more about industry disruptor and how it could be replicated further in your industries, if you would you like to learn more about the guidance that Jian mentioned about, and really specific insights on do's and don'ts for recruitment from a gender perspective, would be happy to share with all of you. Similarly, the Nupur's work on the platform, and Kang mentioned about her perspective on the kind of activities they are doing from Thoughtworks sides to get more women into the workforce. Please feel free to write to me and Jialei. You can also please put in your email ID here as a moderators, and then we will be happy to respond to your queries in consultation with panelists.
Thanks, Suhela. I'll take a very quick screenshot of these responses because they're very valuable for us. And if we can quickly, I think we have 30 seconds or 1 minute left. If we can take a very quick picture together, that would be fantastic as well. So if everyone could please switch on their cameras. We'll take a quick picture.
You will tell us when we are ready?
Yes, just waiting, and I can see lots of people switching it on. So just yeah, okay. I think we're ready. So 1, 2, and 3, and I take another 1, 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much,
Rosa, and so we see. So we will see in the main room.
Yes, yes.
Can you close this breakout room, Firoza?
Yes, I will. Yeah.
Thank you.